is AWOL. No one knew about it. Our president didn't know about it. That's a scandal, and the White House is going to have to do something
So last Thursday in Baghdad at noontime, there is an Iraqi militia member backed by Iran traveling in a vehicle in Baghdad with another individual, and we take the strike. And we have not done that in how long? Half a year?
Qasem Soleimani is the most high-profile example
So my
of that.
question to you as a military man is that, did they follow chain of command? And did they say, this is our time to strike? Because we are overly frustrated with a lack of response against Iran.
Great question.
That's a great question.
It matters what the rules of engagement were. What does that theater commander have as far as a prerogative of a strike list? Okay, these are people that are known terrorists that we want to kill, and if you get the opportunity to kill them, go. You want to have that kind of prerogative for commanders. That could be the case. But with the tinderbox after October 7th and the escalating attacks on our troops over 150 or something in the Middle East since October 7th, every strike like this has geopolitical implications.
Right. And the president hasn't
I think it would have to be elevated.
The president hasn't hosted a cabinet meeting since October 2nd. Okay, so they never even got together after October 7th to say, is everybody on the same page here? How are we going to support the Israelis? What are we doing?
Which leads you to believe, what is Austin really doing? Has he been how long has he been a figurehead?
Well, he's not providing a lot of air cover for the next person we're going to talk about, and that's the Secretary of State.
Blinken's running around the Middle East meeting with everybody, and turns out Austin is beep, beep. I mean, and nobody knew.
And of course, we wish him well, but it's just,
of course we do.
It's mind-blowing.
But
thank you.
as citizens, we deserve
It's great to see you.
Pete.
Thank you.
So we mentioned Secretary Blinken. He's been on the move. He's now in Saudi Arabia, the latest leg of his troubleshooting mission in the Middle East. Blinken's trying to prevent the war between Israel and Hamas from spreading into a wider conflict in the region. We will bring you updates as they come in.
So watch that tour. Meanwhile, the IDF now has assassinated a senior Hezbollah commander. Jawad al-Tawil was killed by an Israeli strike in Lebanon. He had been targeted for his role as acting commander of the elite Radwan forces and reportedly the primary official responsible for training militants. So watch that story. Another strike north of Israel. We'll bring you more as we get it. Also, chilling revelations about Hamas. Israel saying that its forces found evidence that Iran is training that terror group to assemble and operate precision-guided missiles. Photographs recovered at a Gaza weapons production site, they say they proves that, show what IDF says is a rocket engine and cruise missile warhead, all built, they claim, by Hamas.
We're also learning that Iran was able to access billions of dollars previously frozen under sanctions at the Bank of Oman. Mike Tobin live in Chicago with more. Hi, Mike.
And Dana, revenue Iraq paid to Iran for electricity was moved to that bank in Oman. We know now that Iran has been able to get at some of that money, and the chairman of the subcommittee for oversight and investigations for financial services wants to know where it went. Benefactor of terrorist organizations, Iran now has access to more money. Due to waivers and sanctions, $10 billion in electricity revenue was moved from Iraq to the Bank of Oman. The Assistant Secretary of the Treasury told a congressional subcommittee the money has been accessed.
There have been 2 transactions.
But when pressed for details,
it would be inappropriate for me to speak in an open setting here about the financial institutions in detail, although we'd be happy to, in a closed setting, speak more about that particular matter.
The chairman of that subcommittee says no follow-up meeting happened.
They have thrown boat anchors out. They've dragged their feet, whatever analogy you want to use. The point is they have not been transparent.
The administration insists money freed by sanction waivers is restricted to aid.
It would go to approved vendors that would purchase food, water, medicine, agricultural products, and then ship that directly into Iran for the benefit of the Iranian people.
Critics say budget support for legitimate expenses is budget freedom for illicit purchases, like weapons.
The record shows that when we deny resources to the regime, when we enforce our sanctions, they actually have less money to spend on terrorism.
A spokesman for the Treasury says holiday scheduling slowed down any briefing about the money, and it's also not clear if the transactions happened before or after the October 7th massacre. Dana?
All right, Mike Tobin, thank you.
Got it.
We heard a really loud boom, and the plane just filled with air and wind.
This will get your attention. Terrifying scene, 30,000 feet. The door on a midair flight blows out. forced an emergency landing. How did this happen? How are the passengers today? We'll take you back to that story coming up here. Dana.
Plus, the southern border may be far away from the heartland, but the unfolding crisis there, it's very much on the minds of Iowa voters, and you're about to hear from three of them.
Looking forward to that. Also, you call it poetic justice. The man who lunged at that judge in Vegas during a sentencing hearing expected to appear before that same judge in court today. So, how's it going to go this time?
In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada.
Check your local listings.
Countdown to the caucuses with just a week to go inside the issues important to Iowa voters and the candidates' plans to...
I'm excited to announce that we found the door plug. Woo! Bob contacted us at witness@ntsb.gov with 2 photos of the door plug. And said he found it in his backyard.
So there it is, right? A key piece in that Alaska Airlines nightmare flight uncovered. A plug flying off mid-flight on Friday, blowing open a door, forcing emergency landing. Thankfully, no one injured. An investigation, you bet it's underway. That's a Boeing 737 MAX 9. Officials revealing the aircraft was already under restrictions from long-distance flights after warning lights that indicated a loss of some cabin pressure lit up on 3 different flights previously. Does that make you feel any better,
No.
I ask you?
And always strap in,
Okay.
right? Leave your seatbelt on. Well, all eyes on Iowa with 1 week left until the caucus is there. It will start the race for the White House. Voters say the economy is the most important issue weighing on their decision, followed by immigration and foreign policy. That, according to recent Fox Business polling. But let's hear from the voters themselves. Justin Barr, Jill Nordhook, and Emily Peters. It is great to have you all here. Something has happened on this panel that we have not had before, but I think we should point this out before we go to questions, and that is that for each of you, your number 1 issue is immigration and the border. You all have different candidates you want to support. Let me just show you this. Call for number 2, distance from Iowa to the border, pretty significant, over 1,000 miles. But this is still an issue that is on your minds. Let's listen to the leading candidates on the border as they've been speaking to Iowa voters.
We need borders. We had the strongest border in the history of our country. Now we have the weakest border.
No more safe havens for illegal immigrants. And instead of catch and release, we're going to go to catch and deport.
As president, my 2 top priorities, national security, is the border at home.
All right, let's first go to you, Emily Peters. Who are you thinking of backing next Monday night, and why is the border so much on your mind?
Yeah, great to be here. I am not 100% certain who I'm going to vote for yet. I'm trying to take in as much information as I can and listen to all of the different perspectives. But I would say because of Nikki Haley's experience with foreign affairs and her positions of being tough on the border, I am leaning more towards her for next week. But I'm excited for the town hall on Wednesday to hear more from both of those candidates, and that'll be a key issue that I am listening closely to.
That's right. Nikki Haley goes tonight for her town hall, DeSantis tomorrow night, and Trump will be on Wednesday night. Speaking of Trump, Justin, let me go to you and ask about your thoughts about the border and your decision to back Trump again.
Right, well, there is a lot of tough talk on the border, but, when you get down to it, it's a real humanitarian crisis. There are so many people, it sounds harsh, but literally pouring into the country, young and old, and there's unaccompanied minors, and it certainly strains and stresses the resources that our country has, and law enforcement, the Customs and Border Patrol, and our National Guard that are down there helping. So it's something that, while we're ways away from the border, it's important to Iowans. Our governor helped with a pact with the Texas governor requesting some assistance to help take care of the border. So it's just not a safe situation, and we want to obviously welcome people here legally, and they can contribute a lot to our country.
Jill, you are leaning DeSantis. Tell us why.
Well, I'm leaning for DeSantis because he's already assisted the governor in Texas to help with Border Patrol there. And I feel like he has made it a priority, even in his current position as governor from Florida. So I feel like he's already made this a priority and has dealt with this issue. So I feel like he can best contribute as a president.
Let's just pull up here. Call for number one. This is the Fox Business most recent poll showing that Trump in the lead at 52%, DeSantis 18, Haley 16, and Ramaswamy 7, Christie 3. So I only have about a minute left. Let me go to each of you just to find out what are you hearing from your friend group, your family there in Iowa? What do you think the turnout's going to be, Emily?
I think people are excited. Everyone that I've talked to so far is planning on going to caucus next week, and I think people are going to show up.
How about you? Do you think that the DeSantis folks seem organized going into it, Jill?
Yes, I think they're very organized. There's a lot of groundwork being done by the DeSantis campaign, and they're very organized. And there's been a lot of good events where there's very good turnout for the event. So I'm happy to see that.
And Justin, just a last word on the issue of immigration. Do you think that the three of you are not the only ones who have that at the top of their list?
Right, and I think Iowans work really hard, and so they're going to be excited for this caucus and to be able to have their voices heard as first in the country. So this is an important issue. Again, the humanitarian, the horrible sites that you see are troubling, and I think President Trump had a great track record as president.
I can tell it's on your heart, indeed. Thank you all. I know that it's going to be cold, so we're packing up. We're going to be there with all of our mittens.
Thanks.
Thank you. We're excited to have you.
See you in a few days.
You got it. Earmuffs, all that stuff. 7 days ago, 3 town halls, all here on Fox this week, beginning tonight with Nikki Haley. Then Tuesday with Ron DeSantis, both at 6 o'clock Eastern. Then on Wednesday, Donald Trump. He airs at 9 p.m. Eastern, and Martha and Brett will be there to handle all that, moderate. We'll be in Iowa as well, starting next Sunday, noon to 2 with Perino and Hemmer. We'll do it again on Monday, and then have the fallout for you on Tuesday, and then we will get a state of the race in 2024 for Republicans.
Indeed, we will.
Looking forward to it. All right. Aren't you?
I am, but this is an unfortunate situation. Deadly violence erupting at a migrant shelter in New York City where one migrant says everyone has a knife. The fight that sparked this killer stabbing. Plus.
Do you expect to be coaching the team here next year?
It's disappointing the way the game finished, yeah.
But Jets fans say it was a great way to end the season. Now the question is, will Bill Belichick remain the head coach of the New England Patriots?
We have a slight update now on Secretary Lloyd Austin, still in the hospital as of today, we believe. According to Jeff Mason from Reuters, he's reporting that the president, Joe Biden, is not considering firing Lloyd Austin. That's according to a White House official earlier today. Also unaware whether or not Austin was unconscious in the last several days with his hospitalization. As you know, he's been in there since, 12/22, he said. So that was the Friday before Christmas. And one more note here from Reuters. He took full responsibility for the secrecy. That's in quotes right there. For that from Reuters just a moment ago. We'll keep you posted as we go throughout the day if we find out more. In the meantime, you see that, right? Air Force One getting ready to take off.
And more violence in New York City due to the out-of-control border crisis with tensions running high at makeshift migrant shelters. One fight even took a deadly turn over the weekend. The New York Post describing those migrant tent cities as helter shelter. For good reason. Alexis McAdams is live from Randall's Island in New York City. Good morning, Alexis.
Hey, Dana. Yeah, a lot of things unfolded over the weekend with the migrant crisis here in New York City. We can tell you one migrant here on Randall's Island was stabbed at least one time in his torso. He was rushed to a local hospital, but he didn't make it. Take a look on your screen. This is where it all unfolded here on Randall's Island on Saturday night, just after 7 o'clock there, happening right outside of that migrant shelter. And remember, Dana, these were sports fields, right, for kids? Well, they're now home to these massive migrant facilities. You can see there police responding to the area after the guy was reportedly surrounded and attacked. Investigators say he had more than one stab wound, and it was a 27-year-old migrant who was arrested for this fatal stabbing, now charged in connection to this incident. So this came just hours after chaos erupted outside of another migrant center in New York City. Witnesses there say a migrant tried to cut this long line you're looking at, where hundreds were waiting to sign up for temporary housing. They wait there for hours for this. That's when this fight broke out. 2 NYPD officers were injured in the incident, and at least 2 guys faced charges in that case. People who live nearby say this line is always snaking around the building. Listen.
There are literally hundreds every day lined up around the block, all the way to the next block and around the corner.
So right now, at least 70,000 migrants are being housed and fed by New York City, and more than 160,000 migrants and counting have come to the Big Apple since 2022. The New York Post also reporting that over the weekend, a group of migrants were arrested for shoplifting after reportedly trying to run right out of a Bloomingdale's in Manhattan with thousands of dollars worth of designer sunglasses. And that's all just in the past 72 hours, right, Dana? So a lot happening here, and we'll keep an eye on what's going on at Randall's Island. Dana.
All right, Alexis, thank you.
So in the meantime, you've got Bill Ackman, and you've heard the name a lot in the last 2 weeks. Billionaire hedge fund manager, graduate of Harvard University, now planning to use artificial intelligence to search for plagiarism at elite American universities. All this coming out less than a week after Claudine Gay resigned at Harvard after she faced about 50 allegations of cheating. And today there's an even more personal reason why Bill Ackman is taking a stand. For that answer and that story, Lydia Hu from Fox Business has more now. Good morning to you, Lydia.
Good morning, Bill and Dana. Yeah, this proposal for an AI-generated plagiarism audit comes amid fresh accusations of plagiarism hurled at Bill Ackman's wife. She's a former associate professor at MIT who also earned her PhD from the elite university. Now, Ackman, he's escalating his demands for reform at higher education by pushing for that AI-powered plagiarism review, writing this on X, quote, "Every faculty member knows that once their work is targeted by AI, they will be outed. No body of written work in academia can survive the power of AI searching for missing quotation marks, failures to paraphrase appropriately, and or the failure to properly credit the work of others." Now, Ackman suggests the consequences of a plagiarism audit could be widespread, writing this: "It could lead to the wholesale firing of faculty, donors terminating their donations, federal funding being withdrawn, and a massive litigious conflagration where faculty members and universities sue one another about what is plagiarism and what is not." Now, Ackman has been one of the most vocal critics of Ivy League responses to anti-Semitism since October 7th and has taken particular aim at his alma mater, Harvard. He started with demands for names of students who blamed Israel for the terrorist attacks on Israel, to the terminations of Claudine Gay amid her weak testimony on Capitol Hill and mounting allegations of her plagiarism. He's a staunch critic of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, which he blames for allowing anti-Semitism to spread on college campuses. And now, Bill and Dana, he says he's willing to invest in an AI startup to review the published works of academics for plagiarism across all of higher education.
He might get his way based on his track record so far.
That's right. Open it all up. And let's see. Lydia, great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Dana reads sports.
Well, Bill, guess what? The Jets delivered a final blow to the New England Patriots' losing season, putting head coach Bill Belichick's future in doubt.
As far as the future goes, I'll sit down with Robert, as I do every year at some point at the end of the season, and we'll talk about things as we always do.
Fans are split on Belichick's future, grateful for delivering 6 Super Bowl rings. But some fans think it's time to move on after missing the playoffs the past 2 seasons. There are now reports that Belichick could be coaching a new team next year. And here's a little intriguing bit for you. One of those teams is the Washington Commanders, who fired their coach, Ron Rivera, this morning. Did you know that?
I did now, right? And like Ben keeps us updated on all this stuff too. Belichick's had a hell of a run in New England, by the way. If this is indeed the end.
No, and
I mean his winning percentage is, most teams would take that.
I mean, 6. Yeah, I definitely 6 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah,
6. I also think that Ben's prediction of Harbaugh going to New England is the right one. I'm going to go out there and say that right now.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Put the laws of state of this court.
That was like the video of the week last week. The man who attacked that judge is back before the same judge today. So what will happen? And we'll follow that for you. Also, Dr. Fauci testifying before Congress. Will lawmakers get answers to questions that he has avoided for nearly 4 years?
Millions of people died, and it's related to a funding decision by Anthony Fauci to fund dangerous research in China. And they've given him a pass.
So you the laws of state of this court.
So it's sentencing day in Las Vegas as the courtroom assailant and the judge he attacked are back in a Las Vegas court today in the same room. I wonder how different it will be. William Lajeunesse is live in Los Angeles. Do you have the latest for us, William?
Well, imagine what they're thinking, Dana, right? This judge saying, this guy wanted to kill me, and now I have to sentence him, and Deborah Redden saying, this probably isn't going to be a great day. Now, he was supposed to be arraigned on Thursday for assaulting Judge Holtis, but refused to show. Well, this time, he doesn't get a choice. Holtis says he, quote, will be in court 3 hours from now by any means necessary, likely in shackles. Unlike last Wednesday, when Holtis tried to sentence Redden for attacking someone with a baseball bat.
I feel like I shouldn't be sent to prison, but if it's appropriate for you, then you have to do what you have to do. But I figure that, you know, if I'm in a better place in my life, I'm not doing drugs, I'm not out there committing crimes now.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else, because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
So an hour later at the county jail, Redden told deputies, quote, he tried to kill a judge and Holtis had it out for him. Redden has a lengthy record for battery, domestic violence, and destruction of property. He's been before Holtis before and got probation. Now, Clark County's chief judge is considering more security in courtrooms beyond a single marshal.
This is a very unique situation that, as far as I know, has never happened before with somebody supermaning over a judicial bench. We're already on top of doing everything we can to make this as safe as possible for everyone.
So what kind of sentence will Redden get? Likely 2 to 4 years, according to the probation report, for that charge on the baseball bat. What will be interesting, Dana, is if they say anything to one another. Tomorrow, he'll be arraigned before a different judge for attacking her.
For attacking her.
Dana?
Okay, William Lajeunesse, thanks for the update.
Sure.
How worried are you about black voters showing up for President Biden in November?
I'm not worried. I'm very concerned. I have no problem with the Biden administration and what it has done. My problem is that we have not been able to break through that MAGA wall.
There you got the Democrat James Clyburn on President Biden's chances on winning re-election. He's not the only high-ranking Democrat who seems somewhat wobbly. Washington Post, big story over the weekend, got a lot of attention. Quote, Obama worried about Trump, urges Biden's circle to bolster campaign. What about all this? Former Deputy DNC Press Secretary Jose Aristimuño and former RNC Comms Director Doug Hyde. Gentlemen, good day to both of you. I guess, Jose, it's common sense to think that the only reason why we know about this lunch at the White House from several months ago is because Team Obama leaked it.
Look, you know whether they leaked it or not, I think the important thing here is that I do agree with the former president. I think the Biden campaign needs to be more aggressive. This is going to be what it looks like a very short Republican primary and what's going to be a very long general election. So the Biden campaign needs to press on the accelerator. And look, the message needs to be very clear. If we do not want the United States of America to turn into the next Venezuela, into the next Cuba, where they don't respect the law and order, they don't respect voters' rights and what have you, then we cannot elect Donald Trump. So it's got to be very simple. Obviously, on the positive things, on the economy, the Biden campaign needs to continue to push that. But I do agree with President Obama. We need to press on the accelerator, and the time is now.
So we're going to become Cuba if Trump goes back to the White House. That would be something else. Doug, what do you make of the comments? Call for one. Obama also recommended that Biden seek counsel from Obama's own former campaign aides, which Biden officials say they have done. What did you make of the piece?
Well, to me, it goes back to where Joe Biden's approval numbers are. If Joe Biden were at, let's say, 48% approval and 50% of the country thought we were moving in the right direction, the Biden campaign doesn't have those concerns. But what we've seen is mass unpopularity through virtually every segment of the population. White voters, African-American voters, Hispanic voters, young voters. Biden's either underwater or underperforming with all of these groups, and it speaks to why his campaign is in the trouble that it's in. He's gotten some good news on the economy with numbers moving a little bit, but what we know is inflation may be transitory, costs aren't, and voters are still very upset with what they're spending or not spending on because they can't afford the big ticket items, and that's what they're experiencing every day and every week of their lives.
Okay, so gentlemen, I think both of you, just quickly on another topic. I mean, it appears likely that Joe Biden every 2 minutes is going to mention January 6th and MAGA, right? I mean, that's the way the campaign set out. Mitt Romney said this from over the weekend. He said, as a Biden campaign theme, I think the threat to democracy pitch is a bust. January 6th will be 4 years old by the election. People have processed it one way or another. Biden needs fresh material, a new attack, rather than kicking a dead political horse. Jose, has he got a point?
I disagree. I think what happened on January 6th, 3 years ago, it's something that people still, they don't forget. And it should never be forgotten. This is the biggest democracy in the world. And if we let somebody like Donald Trump come back into power, we might not even have a democracy. So I think it's very important. But at the same time, I do agree with Doug that things are looking better. We're 8 months away, 9 months away, what have you, from an election. If the trend continues, inflation continues to go down, gas prices continue to go down, I think Joe Biden will have a very good election night. And I will say, I don't think the polls today are a true reflection where voters are. If we remember 2016, Hillary Clinton, every single poll in America said Hillary Clinton was going to be president. They were wrong. And I think if they continue to push that Biden is doing bad, look, we shouldn't worry about polls. Let's run the campaign,
Okay,
and Biden should be more aggressive. I agree with Obama 100%.
I didn't mention polls. I just mentioned Mitt Romney's quote. Doug, do you think it gets worn and tired by then?
I think potentially it does. Now, look, Joe Biden's campaign raised $1 million between his speech in Valley Forge and this morning. That's not insignificant. But what Romney is speaking to here, and I think it coming from Romney is significant, given that he is very clearly not a Donald Trump fan, is what are the issues that voters are going to be focused on first and foremost in their minds? And that goes overwhelmingly to the economy and the situation at the border. And those are issues where Joe Biden's numbers are just absolutely in the tank. And again, with every segment of the population virtually.
All right, Doug, thank you. Jose, thanks to you, gentlemen. Two good topics on a Monday. We'll talk very soon.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Dana. Thank you.
The numbers defy comprehension. A flood of migrants pouring over the border under the watch of Secretary Mayorkas. Now he's heading